We Need Each Other is a podcast about the importance of human interaction. It provides reminders that we are not intended to live in isolation. Human beings need each other. The things about another that pisses you off and the things that take you over the moon are all opportunities to see through another's eyes, recognize their intrinsic value, and then look more deeply within ourselves to find the love that's always there. Well, welcome to We Need Each Other on the first day of Women's History Month 2021. What a significant day this is, that this recording is being made. Because, women actually have come a good way since I first, many years ago, started talking about the importance of women and how our voice had to be on the playing field. Our voice had to be heard because in this country, and I speak of this country because it's the one I live in, we live in world from a white man's perspective. Everything about this country is from a white man's perspective. And so woman's voice has been stepping up. Woman's voice has been being heard. The concern sometimes that I have with that is that woman's voice is being spoken still through a white man's filter. Because oftentimes we see women stepping up in a masculine vibration instead of stepping up as the truth of the feminine part that we are. Because women, I say this all the time, and especially when we're delving in the world of spirituality, we talk about oneness. We talk about things being the same. Oh, there's only one. I remember one morning I woke up to my phone dinging an email, and it was a Deepak Chopra message. And it said something about the fact that we talk about men being from Mars and women being from Venus is ignoring the oneness. And I woke straight up out of my sleep and said, bullshit, because a dog is not a tree and man and woman are not identical and we can't run them through the same filter. And so women's history has been important to me. Women's voice has been important to me for many, many years, which is why I started the women's ministry at Agape International Spiritual Center. I'm a founding member there. I returned back to Agape around 11 years ago now and was working in the prayer ministry and just happened to look at a list of ministries there. There were 32 at the time and not one for women. And I found that appalling. So I started the women's ministry. So this work for women has been important to me for a long time. And now we got to take it a step further. And that's why I called on to this podcast episode with me, my sister that I love so much, Teresa Golden with the Golden Voice. That's right. So let me read you a little bit about Teresa's bio. Let me read her bio. Teresa is a self-described vocal stylist, songwriter, spiritual activist, and a master Reiki practitioner. Yay, yay. She is a proud mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. Yeah. Her West Coast roots were planted over 30 years ago when she moved to California to live her dream with her family. Family, so important. Teresa is a highly favored alumnus of the World Stage Jazz Vocal Music Workshop. She has released her debut single entitled Expression of Spirit. You will find it on major streaming outlets such as Spotify and Amazon, etc. She also has an awe-inspiring upcoming album released this year. Yay. Her Midwest meets West Coast soulful singing style makes Teresa Golden a unique vocal experience. Welcome, 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 Teresa, my sister Golden. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for thinking of me. Your thoughtfulness is palpable. I when I get calls like that, I was telling someone the other day, my circle is getting smaller since this pandemic. My circle has gotten smaller, but the value of it has increased.
That's beautiful. So, I love it.
So thank you for having me.
So I contacted Teresa last minute today as I knew I was like, it's Women's History Month. I'm all about women. I'm just going to take the mic myself today. And then I sent a text to Teresa about something, and we started texting back and forth. And I was like, oh no, Teresa has to come on this episode with me, because Teresa and I chit chat deeply about all kinds of things. And so my thought here, which I expressed to her when I said I wanted her to come on the podcast, is yes, on the calendar, it is Women's History Month. To this Black woman, and I would assume also Teresa as a Black woman, this year, 2021, is about Black Woman History Month for me, because eyes are open. You see what my people have continuously gone through in this country. And as women's voice is being uplifted, and I'm not saying there's not a whole lot more of that needs to happen, what about the Black woman's voice? Because even I think, Teresa, I believe you were on the episode of A Seat at the Table when we talked about women and how, we talk so much about what happens in the life of the Black man. And we don't even know what women go through, Black women in this country. We go through so much. They are killing us in every system that exists in this country. And it's a far more subtle killing than it is, even though we do get shot by the police also.
Well,
in our jail cells.
But I think that we do. I think that we do know, because we're the mothers of these men. Yeah. So when people say we don't know what Black men go through, we may not
I don't mean us. I don't mean us. I mean, in general, people don't know.
So we have to be specific nowadays when we
exactly
know
right.
That, right?
We know. We know.
We know.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I'll say I know, and I preference that a lot of times, because I don't want to make people think I'm speaking for nobody. I'm speaking for others, but I'm just speaking from my own experience, my own opinion, which is many times based on facts. Yeah. Whatever that means nowadays.
Yes. Right. Okay.
So, fake news. But what I want to give some. I'm going to speak a quote here by a brother who's dear. He's my hero. One of my heroes. When I speak of Black, when I think of men, period, not even color, not even just men. I'm going to read this. The most disrespected person in America.
I know who that
is the Black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the Black woman. The most neglected person in America is the Black woman. Who said that?
Malcolm X. Sure did. And you know what? It's the truth. It is the truth.
It is. And I think what we have to, what I'm challenging us, and I say us, to step that up. I mean, we can change it. We're the only people who can change it.
Who can. That's right. Exactly.
And we don't have to be disrespected. We don't have to be neglected. We don't have to be unprotected, because we're the mothers who raised these men. And so I say, my son's getting ready to get married, and his feet, I call her my daughter-in-law.
Yeah, I call my son-in-law.
Yes. And so she said to me one day, I was there, they had me over for dinner, and she said, she just looked over at me and she put her hands on, she says, "Thank you so much." And I know she was thanking me for Norman. And I used to always say, whoever my son marries or decides to marry, I want the woman to be able to say to me, "Thank you for raising a king." Yes.
Right.
And so when that happened that day, I was like, wow. Because we are the nurturers. We are the ones who raised them. We're the ones who set the precedence of their footsteps. And
a part of the reason that to me this year, Because, Issa Rae has a quote that I have on the t-shirt, I am rooting for everybody Black. And that's just what it's about for me. Mm-hmm. It's all about everybody Black this year because it never, ever has been before. Mm-hmm. And now we have this opportunity where people are looking at us. And, one of my people in one of the classes, I said, there's so much happening for us. It's almost embarrassing, because it's just like this never happened before. This is unusual. But what I want to say is about what you just said is we Black women have raised it all. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Not only our sons. Absolutely. We have raised it all. That must be recognized.
Yes. Even their children. Even mm-hmm. their children. And what I want to add, I love that I'm rooting for everything that's Black or everybody that's Black. How was it? What's the quote?
Everybody Black.
Everybody Black. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what I want to add to that is we've got to start looking at the consciousness of people. Mm-hmm. You said something very discreet, said something that really made me sit up because you said there are women that are coming to the forefront, but are they carrying on that same patriarchal,
right?
Say BS. I ain't gonna. I'm gonna be nice on this thing, but
that's okay. You can be real.
But
that's why I called you here,
because that's all the way I keep it. If they're bringing the same energy, that whole patriarchal energy, nothing changes, and I believe that's why a lot of those women be picked. It's a selected kind of thing.
Yes, exactly.
And so we can't. I feel like as a woman, I would never disrespect or say, but I would call a sister on it if I'm feeling that I'm gonna call her on it, and we can have a beautiful discussion and we can do it amicably, but we have to start calling our sisters out when they step up in that same old paradigm of the patriarchal bullshit.
Mm-hmm. And that's the belief that somebody else has some control over them and their thinking and the outcome of their life, because we are all expressions of, here again, talk about, you want to talk about there's only one life. That's right. There's a creative intelligence that has created us all, is guiding and directing everything. So we may not look alike. I don't look like the bush outside my house, but we're all vibrating that same life force, that same energy. And it's at the helm. But we've been hoodwinked into thinking that man has control over us.
Well, that's why I say I'm a fire. I said I'm a fire sign, but I'm more when I talk about being an activist, I'm giving that an adjective right now, because I'm more of a spiritual activist. Mm-hmm. I'm saying that we have to start looking and understanding that this is about raising the vibration and the consciousness of ourselves first.
Right, of ourselves first.
Because then when we do that, it reverberates out into and it shifts our environment. Mm-hmm. And so when we do that, when we do the work, the inner work that's required of us, and I'm saying required because the only thing that's going to change is we change.
Right.
I can't change.
It can't happen in the other way.
No.
It can't happen in the other way.
And we keep looking
Michael Bernard Beckwith always says it happens by means of you.
Yes.
It happens by means of you. You're looking for some fairy dust to be sprinkled out there.
And it ain't no fairy dust.
Ain't no
fairy dust. We
are the fairy dust. We are the magic. That's right. Exactly. Yes. Here's my wand.
And that's why I tell people, I say, I'm studying right now with this ancient wisdom teaching institute and ministry, and I we're talk about how you stay on your throne, and he talks about this all the time. Women, stay on your throne. Not just women, but men. You have a throne. You have a crown. Our ancestors did. We have the crown because of them. Right. They gave us the crown. Are we going to wear it?
Right. That it's so interesting, Teresa, that you say that, because my class that I'm teaching now, I'm on the second go round of teaching this class. It's called Crowned.
Oh, wow.
It's called Crowned, and it is, you are already crowned.
Yes.
Recognize it.
But are you
walk in it?
But this is the thing. Are you sitting on your throne?
Yes, right. Mm-hmm.
That's the key right there. And you can only sit on that throne when you know who you are.
When you know who you are, right. Mm-hmm.
So when you know who you are, you know, I'm going to just speak on the pandemic situation when they I call it the plandemic. Mm-hmm. But I stayed on my throne. Mm-hmm. I did not dethrone because of what they were saying. They, meaning the mainstream media, was constantly saying stuff, and it was a fear mongering, and all of that stuff was going on. And my loved ones some of them were getting sucked into that. Friends were getting sucked into that, and I understand. And the compassion that what this thing has helped me with is my faith. It's unshakable. Mm-hmm. My faith, my compassion, my compassion for understanding that people are where they are because they're where they are. And I can't shift that unless I shift me. Mm-hmm. And having the understanding and the love, because really at the end of the day, that's the ultimate answer. Mm-hmm. And when and women know how to do that.
Because it's our nature. And that's not to say, when you talk about differences, people want to say that you're saying one thing is better than another. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there's a difference, and it must be recognized that the wiring of a woman and the wiring of a man are not the same. God made us that way.
Yes. And
God made us that way.
And I think part of it, and I have many, as people say, I have a lot of black friends. I said, well, I have friends that are that speak on who they are, and I respect all of that. But at the end of the day, we're all here because of a man and a woman.
Right. Exactly. That's right.
Mm-hmm. They procreated.
Couldn't happen without it.
It couldn't happen without it. And please don't come at me with that other stuff, because my friends that whatever, they already know. Mm-hmm. They already know that I love
you just spoke. That's an absolute truth. I mean, that's
but when
not
I say
judging anything, it's a truth.
Right. But remember when I said earlier that I speak from my opinion, and that it's based on facts many times, and my experience. You cannot negate my experience, and you cannot negate the facts. So I still stand in my opinion. Now you can share yours with me, and we can, toy around with that and do all of that. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. They said the sky's blue. Well, that's an illusion. Are we living in an illusion?
No. Well, well, there's a whole new episode.
I know, right? But I'm just saying, women. I was talking to a brother this morning, and he said, I had 9 sisters, and he said those women. He said they taught me that they showed me that they helped me with that feminine nature of myself, and I think that because of that, men don't. Even women, we have too much masculine because we have
absolutely we're out of balance.
We running households by ourselves and all that stuff and thinking we bought into this whole Western ideal of individuality, and woman has to get out there and then that thing with the
fist, with the fist. I'm like the arm
and all that stuff, and it's like no. See, and I have to say this. A lot of white women are they're really on that, but it's like black women. I don't know from anybody else. I can speak for myself. That's why I told them I'm not doing another march. I'm not doing any of that. I'm going to do the inner work on Teresa.
I work from the inside.
But I
wanted to ask you, when he said that he learned so much from his siblings, was it about the feminine? Did he explain anything further about Like what he learned and
yes,
what that was.
He spoke about their ability to love and love deeply, and how they showed him and helped him with the whole nurturing aspect of and integrating that into his masculine energy.
I love that.
And then he's talked a lot about how they kept him straight. He said, and he knew he learned from them that if you keep the mother and the wife and whoever is, if you keep her happy, everything else is good. And he also talked about men are to protect and serve the woman. And it was so refreshing hearing that coming from a Black man.
And what the difficulty is that women don't even often don't even understand that.
And don't even know how to let them do it.
They don't know how to they don't know how to allow them. Absolutely. And so, that's why I'm here championing women, but in particularly I'm championing Black women, because many of the things that you describe really in the depth of it describes the Black woman. And the evidence of that is that we're still here, loving, compassionate, raising everybody up. It happens in the workplace. When there's an all-white workplace and there's a Black woman there and somebody needs some compassion, they're going to the Black woman.
Yes. You know what?
That's who they go to.
I went to school. I went back to school to get my higher degree, whatever. And I was in my 50s, and I go back and I went away to college. 18 months. I was on campus. And I was like, okay, I raised my children. I'm all ready to go, do my thing. And I get there and I become Mama Teresa. Mama T.
Right.
Because when things got rough for them, they knocked on my door.
They come to you, right?
They came to me, and and when I was getting ready to leave, there was another sister there that was kind of around my age. We were kind of around the same, and she was like, "Well, I didn't got Mama T. I don't want to be nobody's mama." I said, "Well, you may not want to be, but you are." And I said, "And I'm leaving, and they're going to need somebody, and you're that one."
Yeah, I've had that conversation with people about being elders and not wanting to be. And I was like, but you are the elder.
You are.
That's a proud, wise place to be.
Absolutely.
Why would you dismiss that?
Absolutely.
And pretend like you're something else? Because everybody can see you.
We know
what you are.
They used to use the term big mama.
Big mama.
And I was like, I said, I can be a big mama. As little as my ass is,
yeah,
I can be a big mama. Matter of fact, I am. But I'm a great grandmother. And my grandchildren call me Nana. Right? And my grandchildren call me Ganny. And so it's like, and when I hit the stage, I ain't thinking about I'm a grandmama, I'm a great grandmama. Right. I'm Teresa, who's expressing in all those roles. I feel all of those. All of them. And so we have to stop thinking that grandma is this person that sits on the porch and she's knitting, because we do have those grandmamas that's still doing that. But at the end of the day,
I ain't one of those.
Me ain't either. And I know my correct English, but me ain't either.
Yes.
And I just keep it real. I keep it. When they say keep it real, keep it 100. What is that? What does that really mean?
What does that mean to you?
Yeah, because we throw out words and we grab language that we don't. It ain't even ours. But we get
that right there. That it's one of the things that I talk about. I teach a white people class and I teach a Black people class. And one of the things I talk about, just in general in talking to Black people, is we imitate people who are imitating us.
And why are we imitating?
Why
we
are
are
we
imitating
doing that?
us through other people.
Right.
And we are
We're the thing that's being imitated in the first place. Right. Yeah. And so, to me, again, that just speaks even deeper to, and the reason I say I'm rooting for everybody Black is because it just don't happen. It hasn't happened.
But
there could be a group over here rooting for Black people, kinda. But it's like we have the mic now. The mic.
But some of us have the mic, and we just because you in my skin don't mean you can.
No, it doesn't. And I'm not saying that it does. But I'm still rooting for you.
I'm rooting for you. Yeah. Oh, I get it. I get it. I'm rooting for you. But at the end of the day, but here's the thing.
It doesn't mean that we're all in the same place.
Okay, but here's
but as you talked about us living from the inside out, if we're living from the inside out, we take them in there with us. I do.
Oh,
I take them in there with me.
Absolutely.
And I watch sometimes that people transform. Sometimes they don't. That's up to them. Is that up to me?
Right. What I'm saying is, I'm not going to root for you if you are really over here doing stuff that's detrimental to me, to the people that you say you stand for. I'm not rooting for you. That's just my, and I think we've done that a lot in our community to our detriment.
Well, I guess what I would say is I would be rooting for them, the essential part of them to recognize its own nature.
Got it.
That's what I would be.
But we have to be.
I would not be rooting for your habits and your.
We got to be specific, though, sis. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. When our language and how we are approaching and speaking, we have to start being a little bit more specific because everybody that say they for us really ain't us, even when they stand there and look like us.
Right, exactly. Right.
They're keeping that patriarchal white supremacy agenda going. They're there,
and sometimes they don't even realize that that's what they're doing.
Right. Well, they're some unaware. Of them do realize it.
Some of them do. I'm not. Some of them do because they're a part of the system.
Right, and they're getting paid.
And they're getting paid. And we're seeing so much of that right now in front of us, but I ain't going to go there. I'm not even going to go there right now.
That's a whole nother podcast.
That's a whole nother episode. But, what I thought about, like in the class that I teach, Deconstructing Racism, when I was teaching during Black History Month, I was talking to them about there's so much you learn about us. You can say I can't go outside and be around other kinds of people. We're all over television. We're in books. We're on YouTube. It's easy to go in and learn about Black culture, the Black culture that you so love, that you call it American culture, but you don't recognize where it came from. And so I'm saying the same thing about Black women in Women's History Month. Learn about us. Understand what, there's Audra Day just won a Golden Globe for her portrayal of Billie Holiday. There was a Billie Holiday story before that I think we all loved. I did. I loved it, seeing Black people in the movies, back in those days. But this story explained a lot about why she was so downtrodden, why she went to drugs and it has everything to do with yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Right.
She did. This went deeper behind the veil as to what occurred in her life. And we need to, not you and I, but the world, our country at the very least, needs to understand the cause of the things that we see that are happening, to really understand the significance of the fact that we, Black women, are still standing and still loving and still guiding and directing. It's huge when you really look at what women, and as I'm talking about women right now, Black women, what we continue to live through and go through in this world right now, today. Today.
Well, it's in our DNA.
We're the ones who survived the trip, right?
Yeah,
we didn't jump off the boat.
Yeah,
our ancestors didn't.
Our ancestors didn't. They didn't.
They kept on. They kept on trudging.
And when we understand that these are the shoulders that we stand on.
Yes.
She's on my desk every day.
Love her.
But on top of that, I have my own mother, my grandmother. How far can we go back? And many of us can't go very far, but we already know that, as far as sharecropping, that's right out of slavery.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and it was that Black woman who kept that family together. And it was by no means to ridicule or to speak negatively about the Black man, because we all, if we know the story, we know why and how we deal with the Black man as we do. But at the same token, where's that compassion? Because when I spoke about they are to protect and serve, and the whole thing about protecting. How do they protect us? Imagine, how do they protect us when wow. When they know they need to be there for us, they want to be there for us, but if they go to protect us, they may not be there for us. Imagine that, Black women. Imagine that. And then have that, dig deep for that compassion for that man and for the men in our lives.
I just read Cicely Tyson's book, and when I listened to it on Audible, and I first started listening to it, because I adore her, and I saw her in the last play that she did, and I was like blown away by the number of lines that she had and her delivery in her 90s. I adore her. I have always adored her.
I have a picture of her. I met her at the Democratic Convention 3 years ago. Yeah.
But as I started listening to the book, I went, "Oh my God, we're going to hear the story of Miles Davis."
Okay.
Because it was a thing that people would go, Cicely Tyson and Miles Davis. Like, how did that happen? Yeah. And it was such a deep, that kind of love. An older woman, I can't remember who it was when she was younger, said, all Miles needs is to be held. He needs to be held.
That's all.
And that's that loving, compassionate heart of woman, but in particular of Black women.
If you see Miles Davis, there's a biopic of him.
Yes.
And when you see that biopic, it really gets, because Miles. I mean, when you hear a story of one Black man, it's not like it's every Black man, but there's bits and pieces in there that fit
that apply.
It applies. Yeah. And so that's exactly right. And as I would say, Black women. Many of us just want to be held.
Yes, exactly.
Just hold me.
I think every human being wants to love and be loved.
Be loved.
That's at the bottom of it all. I don't care how they're expressing in life. That's what we want.
And that's why I've been so adamant about this 6 feet distancing shit. Oops, sorry. I mean, she might have to edit that, but
it's harmful.
Totally, it's very harmful. As we are creatures who need to have touch. Even animals, they touch come on. What are you talking about?
Right.
This is so sinister to me. And to me, I keep saying it. I'm not gonna. First, I was being quiet about it. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm gonna keep saying it. It's demonic.
Well, and what you find when, like you and I, we are compliant with the things that we need to be compliant with, but we go out into the world,
Yes.
And what back up for a minute. I had a Black male friend, text me last week that he was saying, I'm feeling this anger and this sorrow and this something. And he said, can't I identify it? And
it ain't here.
So we talked on the phone. And I said, that energy is out there. I said, but it's not the only energy that's out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of love and joy and compassion and all that out there too. And he said, I haven't been leaving the house. I said, well, I'm instructing you to leave your home.
Yes.
Go out into the world, because I find people want to talk. You say one thing to somebody, they just keep talking. Because people want contact.
Listen, I went down by the beach the other day. And that was when I went down, when it was foggy and the cloud went over, and I was like, so I was sitting there and I saw this beautiful family, mother, daughter and husband. I don't know if they're, but it was the family. It looked like a family. And so they were getting ready to leave. And so I spoke to the little girl, and then, I was speaking to the parents. I smiled at the mother, and, I had my plastic thing on where she could see my smile.
So she could see your smile.
She could see my smile.
She could actually tell you were smiling.
Right. And so, when I looked in her eyes, I could see she was smiling back. It's causing me to really look in people's eyes now.
Yes,
so I'm looking in her eyes and she's smiling back. And so then, I asked the little girl, what's her name? And she told me. And it was interesting because after we did all that conversating or whatever, they go up the stairs. He takes the stroller up. And then I'm thinking they're gone. And this guy comes back and says, thank you, ma'am, for speaking.
Oh, wow.
He thanked me for speaking to them.
Wow. See, this is not okay. It's just not. And that's why I'm not living in that world, because I know that world is not okay. And I'm not buying into it. I'm just not.
And mind you, this was an interracial couple. But I just saw family.
Yeah, you just saw family.
I saw family.
Exactly.
And the guy came back who was white and thanked me for speaking to them. And I when he walked away, tears just rolled, because I'm like, this is not good.
I would want to sit down and have a whole nother conversation with him about explain,
yes.
Right.
Why would you thank me for, why would you thank me for speaking? Because isn't that what I used to always say, when I would walk on the beach sometimes, on the pavement where they would walk in their dogs and stuff.
Yeah.
I would see dogs, starting to bark at each other and speak. And the owners would sometimes, the only way the owner would stop and try to have a conversation is because their dogs are doing it.
Right.
Sometimes
children. Children.
Yes. Adults will walk right past you like they don't. So, I'm getting off this thing about the woman, but again,
I think I'm going to take it back to the topic, because how many white women would have done what you did? I don't know. I can't say yes or no, but I know that is the compassionate heart of a Black woman. You just saw a beautiful family.
Yeah.
And you said hello. That's what we do.
And in spite of
how we function.
You're right.
In spite of everything. And are still going through.
Love.
Still going through. Love.
I tell people I am love. I say it to myself every single day. I am love. And what I've added now is I'm just not loved, but I'm loved.
Loved, yes.
I'm loved.
Yeah.
And that just keeps me in the game, honey. That keeps me in the game.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm asking from the listening audience is, if you don't really understand the world of Black women in this country, it's true in other countries too. European countries. But in this country, if you don't understand and you've bought into stereotypes and you've bought into what has been shown to you most of our years living in this country, which is finally starting to change, go seek out that change. Go seek out a way to understand that what Teresa and I are saying is true. We, Black women, hold it all up. We hold up the sky. We are the foundation. If you see, and I'll give this to all women, if you see a Black man out there doing it, there's a woman holding him up.
Mm-hmm.
Be it his partner, his mother, his auntie, his neighbor. There's a woman holding him up. And who's holding up all of that? A black woman is holding it all up. That's just the truth of it. And you know that's the truth if you look at the history of what from the moment we were brought here, we were raped over and over and over again. And we still give.
And I want to add to that, as women, if we're going to be, if we're saying, remember Sojourner Truth said, ain't I a woman?
Ain't I a woman?
So I just, this is my challenge or my charge to the white women is to understand that. Yes. You can't have like you saying a Me Too. I mean, that's Me Too. I mean, we was me. Right. And now you saying Me Too, but we've gone through all of that. So you cannot have movements when you speak about moms and grandmoms and all of it. You cannot have that. Even when I was watching a movie that's talking about indigenous women, but they had very few black women in this documentary. And I was like, indigenous women? Okay, so did you even bother to go to the continent? You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, when we speak
where
about
it all
women,
started.
Yes, exactly. And we didn't say that. Your science said it. Your
science says that.
It.
Exactly.
So what I'm saying is, you cannot, meaning speaking to women women of color or of non-color, but we all got some melanin in us, but it's in small
different
doses, degrees. You cannot have a movement and say it's a woman movement and not have black women at the center of that movement.
No.
Period.
Yeah. No.
So that's why
so many black women have not been participants in the whole feminist thing. Right. Because it's really more, that's a white woman's perspective.
And she's fighting her man. But I ain't fighting my man.
Right.
I mean, I'm not fighting the black men in my life.
Right.
I'm not here to fight, because at one point, I know my mama said they was all in the cotton field. The black woman was right there with the black men in the cotton field, doing what they needed to do to make sure their family was good. Right. Black woman has always been carrying the same, pretty much. We have not had the luxury to do that, to stay home, stay at home.
Yes, right, exactly, right.
So, yeah. And I mean,
because of the system that we are a part of, not because of anything about our nature.
No. It's
about the system that we are.
But we have to have the courage to change the system. And guess who's at the center of the system?
Yep. That's us. And we got to do the work. We got to do the work. We got to do the work inside out.
Yes.
Inside out. Absolutely.
And change. We can change the narrative. The only way the narrative is going to be changed is that we change it. And it will continue. We will continue to have this cycling of the same story if we don't change it.
If we don't change the story. So it's Women's Her Story Month.
Yes.
Let's change it. Let's change the story. And when you're looking at changing that story, please look at the black woman. Look at the black woman. The one that you don't see, the one that you pass by, the one that you ignore. Look at the black woman and her history.
I see.
And how she is changing the story. We're changing the story.
Yeah.
We're changing the story.
That's why when I look at a black, I tell them, I see you.
I see you, Teresa.
I see you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Teresa, thank you for saying yes at such a short notice. This is good, because it is Women's History Month. And for Francesca James, I'm just declaring it is Black Women's History Month this year.
Well, we can change stuff, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so you and I shall go break bread and have a glass of wine very soon.
Absolutely.
All right. Out there in the world.
When.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Teresa.
You're so welcome. Thanks again for inviting me.
I love you, and thanks for saying yes.